Coming up, I'm going to reveal the main reason why people stay stuck in an average life, and then how blue-collar workers are making millions of dollars. This is going to inspire you and inform you. Let's go, shall we? Helping you win at work and in life. I'm Ken. This is the Ken Coleman Show. So we talk about average and excellence all the time on this show. And I was sitting around talking with a team the other day, and we began to really kind of dive into what is the human element? What's going on with us humans to where we get so comfortable with average? You know, and there are lots of theories, right? Because excellence, let's just be honest, we all know that excellence is hard. Some of us have a better picture of it than others. But excellence for many feels so far away, like a huge mountain peak on the other side of the world, right? So just pick your mountain peak that you learned about in geography and just think about how far away it is, and you begin to process that, and that's how a lot of people look at success. Oh, that's nice. It looks good on a picture, on a coffee table book, or in a documentary that I'm watching. It's interesting to learn about. But it's not possible for me. That really is the case. And because of that, all of a sudden, excellence becomes unattainable. Average becomes expected. I can do average. If I'm lucky, I have a good life. I can have moments of good. If I'm lucky, just 15 seconds of excellence here and there. So, the reason that people stay stuck in an average life and they begin to excuse it is twofold. There's two muscles that they have yet to develop. And we're going to use these as metaphorical muscles. Guts and grit. In other words, the gut and grit. Now, what do I mean? Let's talk about the gut. There's an old phrase that's been around a long time. I don't know who came up with it, but you've used it before, or you've heard somebody use it. I've got a gut feeling, and it's always tied to moments of big decision in our life, and where we're wrestling through all of the different potential outcomes, circumstances related to the outcomes, and options. And what happens is you'll hear somebody, they're kind of walking through it. And by the way, we could use it for small decisions as well. But it generally is coming from a place where we say, you know what? I don't have clear-cut black and white facts that are informing my decision, but I've got enough black and white to where I'm going to lean on this thing called the gut. Thus the phrase, a gut feeling. But for those cynics out there who just believe that logic, the brain is the only way, and you don't trust your heart, so when guys like me say things like follow your heart, I say it every day on the program, you begin to go, wait a second, I don't know if that squares off scientifically. So let me tell you about the science. So I read about a study recently that a world-renowned physicist, and the name escapes me right now, but it's cited in the book, The Secret Life of the Mind, that I've been reading. And they did a study of grandmaster chess players. If you don't know about chess, that probably means you've got an exciting life. I don't lead a very exciting life, so I know too much about chess. I was in the chess club, full disclosure, 5th and 6th grade. I know that's not surprising many of you at all. But I'm fascinated with chess. And so they did this study on grandmaster chess players. All right, you ready for this? Here's the breakdown. They put heart monitors on these chess players. And what they observed was that every time the grandmaster chess players made an incorrect move that proved to be fatal to the game, there was a spike in their heart rate. Now, I'm cutting through all the scientific stuff that makes your eyes roll around. I had to read this about 2 or 3 times. Here was the conclusion. That logic and the heart or the gut, it's all connected. There are times where our brain doesn't give us a clear, logical conclusion. And when that is the case, this is crazy. Watch this. The brain then sends a signal to the body trying to warn you through a physical feeling. And so what they proved was that the heart rate spiked in an attempt to warn them that this was not a good decision. So the conclusion, the brain and the gut, or the brain's logic machine, is also connected to our body. And many times when our brain and the thinking process does not give us a clear conclusion, the brain will then try to warn us one more time. And thus the heart rate spiked. So all that to say, the term or the phrase gut feeling has got some real validity to it. So I say all that to say that the two reasons, one is gut and one is grit. We'll get to grit in a second, because it all starts with the gut. And the gut and the heart are essentially the same thing. The gut becomes the metaphor for the heart. I got a gut feeling means my heart is telling me to go this way, where my head is telling me to go that way. All right? So, deep instincts must be listened to. We have got to learn to listen to our heart and trust the heart. That emotion is not silly. It is not meant to be overlooked. It is meant to be listened to and followed. And so first, it is gut. You got to learn to mine and trust that gut feeling. That's the heart. That's the first one, which is gut. And when you begin to really understand the heart, and you begin to say that my heart desires this, this is the ultimate sign of what it is I really desire. All right? And then we got to develop grit. So it is the gut that moves us out onto the path that moves us forward. We got to listen to the heart. It is the heart that ultimately propels people. We've heard the term passion around love, or I talk about passion as it relates to work you love. The root word for passion in Latin is pati, P-A-T-I, and it means to suffer. In other words, I am willing to suffer in order for this desired outcome. We see this in love. We see this in parenting. We see this in business. We see this in sports. If you have a passion to get fit, you will suffer through the training and the exercise and the nutritional sacrifices in order to get that desired outcome. So it is only when we trust our gut that we get out and we get on the path, and then watch. When life throws the nasty stuff at us, the delays, the detours that are financial or physical or emotional or mental, it is grit that keeps us going. That's why most people lead an average life. They do not learn to trust their gut and follow it, and then they don't stay with it. You must follow your gut. You must develop grit. You do those two things, I can tell you this, you'll never lead an average life.
Do you know what you were born to do? In order to get hired at a job you love, you need to get clear on your talent, passion, and mission. That's why our team created the Career Clarity Guide. In just a few minutes, this free tool will walk you through a process to discover what you do best, that's your talent, the work you love to do, that's your passion, and the results that matter to you, your mission. Then you'll feel more confident throughout the job search process. To get started, go to kencoleman.com/clarity.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show, where I give you some common sense so that you can wade through all of the matrix crap that are holding you back. By the way, the show is growing, and I'm grateful for that. And these things called algorithms, I don't understand. I don't even know how to spell it, and I'm hooked on phonics. And I don't think I could spell algorithm if my life depended on it. But we got to tell you that we're growing, and I'm grateful. And we'd love for you to help spread the word. So if you're watching on YouTube, would you subscribe and maybe share one of the shorts or one of the highlights or the full show? And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, would you follow us and give us a 5-star review? Also, big news. Boy, oh boy, I tell you all, folks, I tell you folks all the time, you need to step into your fear and step out. And so for a long time, I've wanted to just get out on the road. No screens, no background music, just me and people in cool theaters. And so we're doing it. And I'll admit that I'm stepping into fear and doubt. Will people come? Will they like it? Well, you know what? I got to eat what I cook. And so we're coming out on the road. Kansas City, April 20th. Chicago, Illinois, May 16th. Atlanta, Georgia, May 18th. Dallas, Texas, May 23rd. You say, Ken, what's the event about? Simple. Breakthrough. Now, some of you are stuck, or you got friends and family that are stuck. That could mean a lot of different things. They just aren't where they want to be professionally and financially. And we're going to give you a simple formula that'll allow you to experience breakthrough and go back to it over and over again when life starts to throw curves and detours your way. And then, my favorite part, we're just going to open it up. Mike's in the crowd taking your questions. So, KenColeman.com/events is where you go get the tickets. Again, Kansas City, April 20th, Chicago, Illinois, May 16th, Atlanta, Georgia, May 18th, Dallas, Texas, May 23rd, KenColeman.com/events. I can't wait to see you. All right, how about some facts about how the trades, blue-collar work, is just as exciting and just as lucrative as the corporate office white-collar job. So this is a finance article at Yahoo that I'm citing, and I'm just going to give you a couple real stories here. And here's the context that we live in and why I'm sharing. The context that we live in is still that college is the best way to a successful, better life. It's total BS. It's marketing crap. And it's been sold to us for decades and decades and decades. And as a result, where we sit in America right now is an actual crisis. You can watch a video on the YouTube channel right now where I cite a carpenter who is talking about the lack of carpenters in this world. Now, that's real. Electricians, plumbers, you think of any trade, HVAC. Listen, do you know what the hottest industries were during the pandemic, at the height of the pandemic in 2020? It was the trades. White-collar workers are getting laid off right and left. Let me tell you what else is going on. To the tune of 7 million views on Instagram and TikTok, I made one comment on the Ramsey show one day, co-hosting. And I talked about it on this show first. Well, the social media team clipped it, and I basically said that I'm reading economists, well-respected economists right now, that are saying the battle between remote workers coming back to work and corporate America looking at what they're paying people that want to work remote, that there is a movement underway already. It's been happening, and they're expecting to happen at a higher rate, where they're going to start shipping white-collar jobs that are remote overseas for somebody that can do it for half or even 75% of the cost. I said that. I just said, hey, be aware. And it's gone viral, and people are agreeing with me, and people are calling me some sort of lunatic. I could care less. I don't read the comments. People tell me about it. But here's the point. Those jobs, those white-collar jobs, those can be shipped overseas. You know what you can't ship overseas? The electrician, the plumber, the HVAC operator, all that, the guy who fixes your refrigerator, can't be shipped overseas. So let's look at some real success stories, because some of you out there are parenting kids who don't want to darken the door of a college. Some of you out there are in jobs that are absolutely sucking the soul out of you, and it's like you need permission to just go work with your hands and fix something or build something. So here we go. This is a finance article at yahoo.com. Josh Downing was working for a construction firm. He was 31 years old as a full-time general contractor when he started the journey. He advertises his services on Thumbtack, which is an online platform that pairs tradespeople with customers. He lands a few side gigs. Sure. All of a sudden, his Thumbtack profile became a lucrative second revenue stream. Those side gigs eventually earned him enough money and connections to form the construction firm Direct Movement Group, which is his and only his, and it brought in $4.9 million in revenue in 2016. So he goes from going on Thumbtack, going, hey, you need a handyman, build some shelves, whatever, starts building it, makes enough money on the side that he starts his own shop doing the same work. Now he's a multimillionaire. Joe, you'll appreciate this one. Paul Tuttle Sr., the guy with the bad attitude from that show American Chopper. I love the guy. He just always looks like somebody peed in his cornflakes. It might have been his son as much as they fought on that show. Paulie, he probably did pee in his own dad's. Yeah, they probably peed in each other's cornflakes is probably what happened. Well, anyway, so how did that become a thing? Because you see that guy and you go, oh, that's just a far-off mountain. I could never do that. Well, okay, wait a second. How did it start? He was building custom motorcycles as a hobby. He got good at it. The demand grew, so you know what he did? Opened his own shop, Orange County Choppers. And then eventually got discovered, and the TV show became the thing. They're worth millions and millions of dollars. All right, let's get outside a little bit different area, okay? How about, and this is very personal to me because I grew up in Virginia Beach area, the Tidewater coastal area of Virginia. And I had crab pots. Joe knows this. I had crab pots out in my backyard. We lived on a tidal stream that was brackish, and my mom and dad bought us crab pots, and my brother and I would put nasty chicken that nobody wanted at the grocery store in these crab pots, and we would pull in crabs. Well, actual crabbers, the boats and stuff, I mean, this is tough. It's dangerous, very demanding. Well, Sig Hansen, that's how he earned his living. We're talking big-time crabs. We're talking the expensive ones, them king crabs, right? A Norwegian-American from a long line of Nordic fishermen. Well, that's all he ever did. He's the captain of the fishing vessel Northwestern, one of the main competitors on the successful reality TV show Deadliest Catch. Now, some of you are going, well, Ken, we can't all expect to have a reality TV show based on our work. Well, that's not what made them the millionaires. He worked his way up. And the benefit, the cherry on top, was the reality show. How about Lee Height? He grew up in the roofing business. His father and uncle owned roofing companies. He landed his first roofing contract when he was 13. He's now a millionaire and runs roofing professionals with his father. It's a multi-state business that separates itself from the crowd by handling the complicated insurance claims processing while performing residential and commercial restorations. How about Charlie Mullins? When he was a child, he was inspired by a visit from a local plumber who probably just said nice things to Charlie and tousled his hair. Well, that guy's nice. So he got interested in plumbing. At 15, he dropped out of school to become a plumbing apprentice. Now he's worth millions running Pimlico Plumbers, the biggest plumbing business in all of London. Here's my point. The trades are lucrative. What are you waiting on? Ain't no shame in their bank accounts.
Are you wondering if you should leave your current job or stay put? You're not alone. That's why we created the Should I Quit My Job quiz. In just 5 minutes or less, this quiz will help you determine if you're at the right company and if you're in the right role. If you need to make a move, you'll even get practical next steps to keep you moving forward. Listen, stuck is a choice, and life is too short not to do what you were created to do. To take the quiz, go to kencoleman.com/quiz.
All right, so a very controversial talking point on social media around the world of work these days is I don't want to be friends with my coworkers. It's a hot topic on TikTok. I've waded into some of these waters. I've had people call me a lunatic, but I have made the assertion that you should develop friendships at work. My gosh. Okay, the average American, let's just set context really quick. The average American spends 90,000 plus hours at work in their lifetime. Now, you just do your own math. Just think about your life, whatever your rhythm is. How much do you spend at work versus sleeping and with your own family? Well, let me tell you something. I spend more time with the people at work than I do my own family. I got 3 teenagers. They don't want to be around me at all. I got to literally knock on their door and stick my head in to see them some days. And it's just the reality of parenting teens that I didn't know about. So if that's true of you, and I'm told by other parents of teens that it's not just me, because I thought it was me. How is it that I think I'm going to live a fulfilled life, a healthy life, baseline healthy life? How do I think I'm going to do that if I go to work, I do the work, the transactional work, and I don't relate well to the people I work with? Now, some of you have actually been in situations, not of your own. You didn't choose the environment. Maybe you tried to be friends. Maybe you tried to be friendly. And the environment wasn't that. And it just ruined things for you quick. I mean, can we just be honest for a second? The people that argue with me on this, it makes no sense. I can't find a logical seed of their argument. But this is what it sounds like. Ken, why do I want to be friends with the people I work with? That's my job. I want to do the job, and I don't want to hang out with them at happy hour. Well, first of all, I didn't say hang out with them at happy hour. I mean, I've been at Ramsey 9 years. You can talk to people that have known me that entire time. I've had kids, and I largely am at home just about every weeknight, and that's cool. I'm down with that. Stacy and I, our days of going out to eat every night and having people over every night, they're coming. Thank God. Can't get here fast enough some days, if I'm being honest. But the point is like, I'm not saying go hang out with your entire team 3 nights a week. But that's the excuse. I'm talking about when you're in the office. Now, the data backs me up. You know, Ken, you're just touchy-feely and all this. Have friends at work is a bunch of crap. Well, no, it isn't. There's an 85-year-old Harvard study. It's the longest study ever on relationships and happiness. They have been studying people from birth to death, and it's still going, which is so cool because they have participants in the study that are obviously 85 years of age or older, right? So here's what they found. The secret, the number one secret to happiness, it's not shocking, is relationships. I've said it before on the show. We're made to relate and create. In other words, we all have purpose in our families and our relationships before we ever get to purpose in our work. Okay? And this has a work component to this. This is not a relationship rant. This is relationships at work. This is a quote from one of the people in the studies. Ellen Freund, who is a former university administrator, told the study, "When I look back, I wish I had paid more attention to the people and less to the problems. I loved my job, but I think I was difficult and an impatient boss. I guess now that you mention it, listen to this. I wish I had got to know everyone a little better." Now, they pulled health records from 724 people all over the world asking questions about their lives in a 2-year interval. So this is really a complex study. Started in 1938, it's still going. And when it comes to retirement, what they heard from the study, from the respondents, was People still wanted to do work and be productive, but the thing they missed most were people. One of my colleagues, she's the producer of the John Deloney Show. Kelly and I were talking about this actually earlier today. She and I are the same age. I can't tell you how old I am because if I do that, then I get in trouble with her. But we were talking about the fact that, are we going to make it to 100? Do we want to? And she said something that's very interesting. I think it's relevant to this actual point we're making. You don't want to really live that long if everybody you know is dead. She's right. That's the instinctual response. So you want to have relationships even when you're old, because if everybody dies, I want to have some 60-year-olds hanging around me, right? Maybe keep me walking. Hey, Coleman, get the walker and the tennis balls out here today, you lazy, you-know-what. We might need some of that. But the point we're making is that absent of relationships, why do we exist? So this movement that's out there to say, I'm going to go do my job and I'm not going to relate to anybody. By the way, the root word of relationship is relate. And I'm just going to go about my business. I'm not going to create friendships. Can I just tell you something? That's a recipe for misery. Because can I tell you, the people that I spend the most time with are the people I work with. And if something's going wrong in my personal life, it's kind of great to have some people at work that I can look at and go, my personal life is a dumpster fire right now. I'm going to be very vulnerable here for a moment. Without getting into the details, over the last 2 years, there were days where behind this screen behind me is a little, I'm going to call it about a 2.5 foot by 10 foot space. And there were days where I sat back there in total quiet 10 minutes before the show trying to get my head together. In fact, Joe Hankin, my longtime board op producer for a long time in Atlanta and here, he walked in on me one day. And he was like, what are you doing? And I was so low. I was dealing with stuff in my personal life related to being a dad. That's all I'm going to tell you. And I was hurting. And I literally needed to get in a quiet, dark space to try to come on this show and do something that will impact you. But I had friends in this office that I work with that knew what was going on. And if I didn't have them here for me in those seasons, I don't know that I could have made it back home. So this is what I'm calling out. It seems cool and hip on social media right now to kind of go, I'm going to separate my personal life from my professional life. And again, boundaries are good and I'm all for it. But this idea that I'm going to be isolated to where I have not truly been a friend to people, thus allowing them to be a friend to me. Can I just tell you something? It's a bunch of crap. It's not going to turn out well for you. And it's going to hasten you leaving. And you might just become a job hopper all because of this philosophy that says, you know what? I work with these people. I don't want to be friends with them. And by the way, for those of you who are going to go, well, Ken, you're just talking about teamwork. No, I'm not. This has actually, the point I'm making has nothing to do with teamwork. Now, will it make a better, stronger, more effective team? Absolutely. This is about your life. 90,000 plus hours with no connection and true relation going on? It's nonsense. And the data backs me up. And I've said point blank, I think retirement is overrated. I think you can slow down, but I don't think you should ever stop working. And by the way, the data backs me up on that too. People die quicker. But the thing that retirees pointed out first was they missed the relationships at work. All that to say, you should be developing true friendships at work. It might be the difference that's been missing and why you feel stuck. Give it some thought.
Did you know that recruiters take an average of 6 seconds to scan a resume? And that's if they ever see it in the first place. In fact, 75% of resumes are rejected before reaching a hiring manager. Listen, folks, if you want to get hired, you've got to make your resume worth noticing. That's why we created How to Write the Perfect Resume. This free guide will walk you through the 5 steps to stand out in the hiring process to get you your dream job. If you want to get started, go to kencoleman.com/resume.
Helping you get unstuck so that you can be unstoppable. Just live the life that you want. I'm Ken. Welcome aboard. 844-747-2577 is the number if you want to leave a voicemail. We'll get you in for a little coaching call. You can also email us, ask@kencoleman.com. All right, Denver, Colorado is where we go. Nick's there. Nick, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken, how's it going?
I am living the dream. Nick, what are you doing?
Trying to do the same. Hopefully
All right.
we can help.
I'm going to try. What's up?
So, just a brief overview, too. So, my wife and I took a little hiatus after being kind of burned out with work. Wanted to kind of reset.
Okay.
So we get back. And after hiatus, I ended up taking a job. And we kind of fell back into the same rut as when we left.
What's that rut and what's causing it?
We're just busy working all the time. And so...
What does that mean?
My wife's a real estate agent, and so I work full time, and then we do fix and flips on the side.
So when you say working all the time, we're talking about 60 plus hours a week, each of you?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you didn't fall into that. You chose that.
True.
What's making you choose that?
It kind of paid off after our hiatus, and now I took a job again, and I'm not that passionate. I thought I was going to be, but I turned out not to be as passionate about it as I thought.
What did you think was going to?
That my passion is not working.
No, you're overthinking this. Your passion doesn't. It's not an on and off button. And now you can change things that you're excited about, but when we talk about passion, I use that word to define work that I get really excited about. And I get completely absorbed in a good way because I love it. That can absolutely evolve. But
sure.
But what did you think was going to be exciting about it that is now not? What are you doing?
I sell oil.
Do you like selling?
I'd never done it before.
Okay. So what did you think was going to be exciting about it?
It was different. I'd never tried it, and I'm like, I need to get out of my comfort zone rather than the basic 9 to 5.
Yeah, okay, so I know what happened. I think you just were kind of like, wee, let's try this. But you didn't.
I was, absolutely.
But so here's the deal. You were interested in it. I'm not sure you were passionate about selling. So what is the work that you love to do based on your background, your entire professional career, whatever that is? Take me back to a time when you loved your work.
If I knew that, I would be doing it.
That's not true. That's not true. You're telling me you've never done one role or task where you lit up, you got excited about it, and you lost track of time when you were doing it. You're telling me never once that's happened.
Off the top of my head, not really. No, not for work, not for a job.
All right. Are you somebody who's how would you describe yourself on this scale? All right. On one end, you're a free spirit, super spontaneous. On the other end, you're an overanalyzer. Where are you at on that scale?
I would say right in the middle.
Yeah. So what would you do tomorrow? What's the next thing you would try? Let's say tomorrow we walk away from selling oil, and tomorrow I pay you a really great day rate to try the next thing. What would you try knowing you could it's one day, no risk, I'm going to try it? What would it be?
Oh, I'd love to try my own business.
What's the business?
That's the part I can't figure out.
Okay, I'm going to give you a formula for it. You ready? You got something to write with? Okay, here's how you come up with the business idea that actually moves your heart. You need to answer these 3 questions. You can answer them in succession or take your time with them. First question is, who are the people I would really get excited about helping? Second question, what's the problem or desire that those people have? See, you've already thought of it. So now we're just writing this out in succession. What's the problem or desire that those people that you're excited about helping have? And the third question is, what are the solutions or the solution to that problem or desire that interests me most? Got it?
I got it.
Now, here's the deal. These are super simple. They're essentially the same question, but what I'm getting you to do, this is cheap amateur psychology, but I'm getting you to attack the answer from 3 different perspectives. That's all this is. Because when I think of the people I want to help, I instinctively kind of know what they want or need, right? And so I walk through this process, and here's what's going to happen. That's going to inform you professionally whether you're starting a business or not. Now, hang on the line. I also want to give you my Get Clear career assessment and the book From Paycheck to Purpose, the 1-2 punch for ideation and activation. Hang on the line.
According to Glassdoor, the average job offer attracts over 250 applicants. If you've made it to the interview, you've already made a great impression. So now is the time to showcase how you are the best choice for the role. That's why we created How to Win the Interview. This free guide will walk you through the 5 strategies to help you stand out amongst the competition. With just some intentionality, you can prepare yourself to win the interview. Go to kencoleman.com/interview.
All right, folks, another way for you to get your question answered is email, and that address is ask@kencoleman.com, ask@kencoleman.com. I should also point out you could submit your question in the YouTube comment section, also on Instagram @KenColeman, and the team will assemble these and get these to me. In fact, in the old days of the show, we used to call this Ken's Electronic Mail. Do we still have that sounder, Joe? Let's play that. It's time for Ken's Electronic Mail.
Ken's Electronic Mail.
I don't know why, but
You've got mail.
that AOL sound always entertains me. I apologize to all those for the cheese, but sometimes I just need to be entertained. Okay, let's get to some questions. This is looks like a fun one right out of the gate. Ralph Mendoza says, if Ken had to pick a Yeti or a pencil to protect, which one would he choose? I assume he's talking about my Yeti drinking vessel and then my my pencils, which is I moved to pencils exclusively years and years ago. I love them. It's an easy answer, Ralph. It's the pencil. Because I could always put water in my hand and drink it, outdoorsman style. There's so much that can be done with a pencil. Even if I didn't have to write, I could kill you with this pencil. And I digress. There's other things I'm sure that I would figure out. By the way, if you're not watching this show on Netflix, this is bonus content. There's a new show on Netflix that's like Survivor on steroids. And the name of it escapes me. Anybody in the room know? Tell me what it is. It's like Outlast. Is that what it's called? Outlast. I got to tell you something. It is so good. One of my all-time favorite actors, Jason Bateman, happens to be an executive producer. That's just, you don't need any more information. Back to the questions. Do yourself a favor. Outlast, phenomenal television. Chad writes in, Ken, what steps did you take leading up to your first book as you prepared for the next level? The quickest answer to this, I'm not going to give you steps. I'm going to try to answer what I think you're asking. I was approached to write a book about a year and a half before I actually wrote my first book, and I will tell you that I said candidly, I didn't think I was ready. And what I meant was I didn't feel like I had something in me that I had to get out. And that began a journey that led to my first book. And so as you prepare for that book, I think it's about self-awareness and digging deep into your heart to go, what's one thing that I feel like the world really needs to know from me? That doesn't mean that you're necessarily the expert. You just believe somebody needs to know it. And that's where you start. David writes in, I'm trying to apply for new jobs, and one of the employers asked me why I don't have a LinkedIn account. I don't believe in social media. in my opinion, it has more disadvantages than benefits. What's the best answer to that question? Well, I love the question. David, I don't believe in social media. I hate it. All my social media team is freaking out right now, but it's true. As a Ramsey personality, I have to have social media accounts. I have to grow them. I have to be engaged. I'm not very good at it. I've recently started getting more involved. But I make jokes with all the other Ramsey personalities, and they're not even jokes. I freely admit, if you're familiar with Ramsey Solutions, there's 5 of us. I'm the worst at it. And I blame it on being a middle-aged white guy. I don't know why my race gets involved, but I'm certainly middle-aged dad. I'm not good at social media. I'm the first one to tell you that. And I also don't like it because it's a lot of work. I would be fine, David, if I just went on Twitter and read the news. Well, the reason I'm answering the question that way for me is because it's the same for you. You need a LinkedIn account because professional people are looking at that stuff. So you can still hold true to your philosophy that you don't believe in social media, that it has some negatives. But that's like saying you don't believe in electricity. Or you don't believe in television. Or you don't believe in money. Start picking all the things you don't believe in that have negative side effects or negative temptations and traps. Just because something has some negative underbelly to it or some potential traps is the word I'm going to keep going back to, doesn't mean I can't use it. I think you need to get a LinkedIn profile. But it does not mean that you need to get sucked into posting all the time. John writes, "Hey, Ken, I'm concerned about job searching now because of this uncertain economy. I'm 2 years into a career pivot. Things are going well. I feel ready and qualified to move up, but I probably need to go to a new company. I realistically think I could increase my salary by 33% and get better perks. Is it unwise to look for a new job right now given the uncertain economy?" First of all, bro, I don't think we're in an uncertain economy any more than we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years. Here's what I mean. We live in the information age. And can I just tell you something? We have too much knowledge. We're dumber than we've ever been before, but we're more informed than we've ever been before. How is that possible? Because of these kind of emails. John, you're a really smart guy. But you've allowed media, social media headlines to convince you that you can't take a job that's a 33% raise with better benefits? John, what are we waiting on? Can I just tell you there's no safe job in the world? None. Take the opportunity. Live within your means. Keep making connections. And if the economy somehow gets uncertain with another pandemic and kicks you out of your job, you still made the right decision. What you are experiencing, my friend, is real fear. And you've made it a wildly rational reason for not moving forward. And I appreciate you writing me. But John, let me reread your question in the tone or the voice that I think is underneath of it. All right, let me remind everybody. Here's what John said. Ken, I'm concerned about job searching right now because of the economy. It's uncertain. He then goes on to say, I'm in a pivot. It's going well. I got an opportunity to make 33% more with better benefits. Ken, do I take it because of the uncertain economy? Here's what he's really saying. Hey, Ken, I've been purposeful. I'm in the process of a pivot that I know I'm supposed to do, and I'm actually making progress. And I got an opportunity right before me, but I'm scared to death that if I take it and it doesn't pan out, that I'm going to go backwards. And I will have wasted all this time and effort. That's what John is saying. John, you've gotten to this point where you've got an offer. Take the offer and don't look back. One more here. This has got some heaviness to it. Rebecca writes in, I recently read your book, One Question. Well, welcome to the 5,000 people that have read it. It was my first book. Not a lot of people know about it. So anytime somebody tells me they read that book, I go, oh, well, that's kind of nice. Hey, you got to start somewhere, folks. All right? She says some nice things about it. That doesn't matter. She says, I have a master's in education and feel like I make a tremendous impact where I am. But I'm considering making a move to do something that would pay more. I'm happily married, but my husband just received a diagnosis of stage 4 kidney disease, which means I could become the sole provider of our family if his condition worsens. So this is the kind of stuff where there's no fancy answer, there's no 3-part formula, there's no book written for this. This is life, throwing a curveball, unexpected change, and with that change comes a lot of uncertainty. So first of all, Rebecca, I'm very, very sad about this. I am hoping that the doctors and that your husband's body work well together and the disease does not get worse and he can still work. However, you're thinking ahead. So here's what you have to do. You're going to have to look at how his pay could be affected. These are all practical things right now. None of this is emotional. How that would affect your budget, your expenses, and we start looking for contingencies. How can we start moving into some of those contingencies now just as a safety measure so that we're not having to do an about face? But I think for someone with your experience and qualifications, starting to get some side work to stack up some money and cut expenses, this is the way to go. Thank you for the question. Hoping for the best.
Thanks for listening to The Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.